I'm always in favour of, ironically, companies buying at the bottom of the cycle rather than at the top, and too many of them only buy at the top rather than the bottom. Good morning to you, by the way. How do you feel about this kind of deal in ONG at the moment? Because for some of the big players who have done it, it's not worked out too well. For instance, Samir Bricco over at AMEC, they bought Foster Wheeler. Now, arguably, and you can argue a very strong case, they bought it at too high a level in the cycle as well. Do you like this kind of deal at the moment, or do you think they should hold off and concentrate on something else?
I think that the deal made sense to the extent that Royal Dutch was trying to get access to some of the gas assets, and they're managing to actually do that. If you look back at BG in time as well, BG had been a forever type of target.
Yes.
And Royal Dutch, the price they ended up paying, if you look back over 3 or 4 years, was at the low end of where BG had been trading. So from a bid spec point of view, I would not argue they've overpaid. From a timing point of view, the weakness in the oil price post the announcement of the deal didn't help, and obviously reduced some of the potential synergies and opportunities coming from the deal. What's going to be interesting and very important in the next 12 months is to see where oil ends up settling back, i.e. with an oil at 30, 35 as we are now, yeah, the deal is more questionable. That said, it is going through now. With oil bouncing back towards 45 or 50 potentially, as the back end of the curve would suggest, then the deal would continue to make sense. It was interesting, and you talked about it, about shareholder votes, the BG shareholders versus the Royal Dutch shareholders, and both sides ended up working together, so the deal went through.
My one, and I take on board the point, and I think it's a great point, about too many CEOs get excited by valuations and buy at the top, and you don't extract the benefits that you might think you'd get as a result of that, because the wrong price was paid here. But the one bit that I find difficult to square on this is just the visibility that Mr. Van Beurden or anybody else has on energy prices right now. So everything you've said notwithstanding, if you are unable to reasonably accurately forecast the bottom for oil or gas prices at this point, how do you know whether any of the numbers you've penciled in for the deal actually make sense at this stage, or have just been plucked out of the air to justify, and I'm not sure if this is the case in this case, but a kind of large CEO type legacy deal that enhances your career as you go forward, but quite often we see CEOs walking away from a train wreck that they've left behind with their large golden parachutes.
So talking in generic terms, not necessarily on this deal in particular, history will tell us. Like it was a it was a big purchase, and it was done in the face of oil price coming down, and within a year or two we'll know where it settles, and therefore the value of the deal. Yeah. Does it mean that there is a heightened career risk for the CEO who triggered the deal, who will then end up being questions in time? Yeah. Like there will be more pressure on the rationale of the deal.